हेलो एवरीवन, तो आप सभी का वेलकम है स्टडी विथ मी लाइव सेशन में। Genetics, molecular basis of inheritance. Genetics, molecular basis of inheritance. In living world, the most abundant genetic material is DNA. In living world, most abundant genetic material is DNA, which end of polynucleotide chain has free phosphate moiety 5 prime, which end of polynucleotide chain has free phosphate moiety 5 prime. 5-methyl uracil. 5-methyl uracil is another chemical name for thymine. The backbone in polynucleotide chain is formed due to sugar and phosphate. The backbone of polynucleotide chain is formed due to fusions of due to the backbone of polynucleotide chain is formed due to sugar and phosphate. Flow of information from RNA to DNA is called reverse transcription. Flow of information from RNA to DNA is called reverse transcription. Histones are rich in which basic amino acid? Histones are rich in which basic amino acid lysine and arginine. A segment of DNA coding for polypeptide is called cistron. Cistron. A segment of DNA coding for polypeptide is called cistron. The RNA polymerase is only capable of catalyzing the process of elongation. In eukaryotic, the hnRNA is transcribed by RNA polymerase second. In the experiment, Hershey and Chase used radioactive phosphorus and labeled DNA radioactive sulfur protein capsule. The genetics materials must have four qualities. These are replicability, stability, mutability, and expressibility. Which centrifugation technique was used by Michelson and Settles in their experiment, which proved semi-conservative DNA replication. CSCL, cesium chloride, density gradient, and centrifugation. Most prokaryotic genes are polycystonic and non-split. Most eukaryotic genes are monocystonic genes. Most eukaryotic genes are monocystonic and split. Most prokaryotic genes are polycystonic and non-split. Which scientist formed copolymer of nucleotides? H.G. Khurana. Some amino acids are coded by more than one codons, hence the code is degenerate. Some amino acids are coded by more than one codon, hence codon is called degenerate. A classical example of point mutation is sickle cell anemia. dt-RNA is compact molecules which in 3D look like inverted L. In eukaryotic, RNA is transcribed by RNA polymerase second. Which scientists suggest that code should be made up of three nucleotides? George Gamo. In mRNA also have some Additional sequences that are not translated and are referred to as untranslated regions UTR. Untranslated regions. In eukaryotes, the regulation of gene expression could be executed at 4 levels. In eukaryotes, the regulation of gene expression could be executed at 4 levels. In most cases, the sequence of operator is bound by receptors protein. In most cases, the sequence of operators is bound by receptors protein. Each appearance has its specific operators and specific receptors. Each appearance has its specific operators and specific receptors. The operon concept was given by Jacobs and Monod. The I gene of lac operon codes for receptor. The I gene of lac operon codes for receptor. The I gene of the A gene of lac operon code for trans-acetylase enzyme. Trans-acetylase enzyme. In lac operon, lactose acts as inducer. Regulation of lac operon was receptor is referred as negative regulation. Receptors is inactivated by interaction with the inducer. Receptors is inactivated by interaction with inducer. The fragment-aware sequence using automated DNA sequencer that worked on the principle of method developed by F. Sanger. DNA fingerprinting involves identifying difference in some specific region in DNA sequence is called satellite DNA. The bulk DNA from a major peak. The bulk DNA from a major peak and other small peaks are referred to as satellite DNA. If, if inheritable mutation is observed in population at high frequency, it is referred to as DNA polymorphism. The technique of DNA fingerprinting was initially developed by Alec Jeffrey. VNTR belong to the class of satellite DNA referred to as mini-satellite. VNTR belong to class of satellite DNA referred to as mini-satellite. The sensitivity of DNA fingerprinting techniques has been increased by the use of polymerase chain reaction. The sensitivity of DNA fingerprinting technique has been increased by the use of polymerase chain reaction. HCP, HGP was closely associated with the rapid development of new area in biology is called bioinformatics. Bioinformatics. HGP was closely associated with the rapid development of new area in biology is bioinformatics. The process of translation required transfer of genetics information. The process of translation required transfer of genetics information from polymer of nucleotides to polymers of amino acid. The process of translation required from transfers of genetics information from polymer of nucleotides to polymers of amino acid. The sensitivity of DNA fingerprinting technique has been increased by the use of polymerase chain reaction. VNTR belong to the class of satellite DNA referred to as mini-satellite. The techniques of DNA fingerprinting was initially developed by L. S. Jeffreys. Inheritable mutation observed in population at high frequency is referred to as inheritable mutation is observed in the population at the high frequency to refer to as DNA polymorphism. The bulk DNA from a major peak and the other are referred to as the bulk DNA from major peak. Major peak and the other small peaks are referred to as satellite DNA. Satellite DNA. DNA fingerprinting involves identifying difference in some specific region in DNA sequence is called repetitive DNA. DNA fingerprinting involves identifying difference in some specific region in DNA sequence. DNA fingerprinting involves identifying difference in some specific regions in DNA sequence is called repetitive DNA. The fragment where sequence automated DNA sequencers that worked on the principle of method developed by F. Sanger. The process, the receptor is inactivated by interaction with the inducer. The receptor is inactivated by interaction with the inducer. Regulation of lag apron by receptor is referred to as regulation. Regulation of lag apron by receptors is referred to as negative regulation. In lag apron, lactose acts as inducer. In lag apron, lactose lactose act as inducer. The gene of lag apron code for trans-acetylase enzyme. Trans-acetylase enzyme. The A gene of lag apron. The A gene of lag apron code for trans-acetylase enzyme. The I gene of lag apron code for receptor. The I gene of lag apron code for receptor. The apron's concept was given by Jacob and Monod. The apron concept was given by Jacobs and Monod. Each apron has its specific operator and specific receptor. Each operon has a specific operator and specific receptors. In most cases, of sequence of the operator is bounded by receptors protein. In most cases, the sequence of the operators is bounded by receptors protein. In eukaryotic, the regulation of gene expression could be excreted by four levels. NmRNA also some additional sequences that are not translated and referred to as translated region. Translated region UTR. Translation refer to process. Translation refer to process of polymerization of amino acid from polypeptide. Translation refer to process of polymerization of amino acid to from polypeptide. The ribosome also act as catalyst for the formation of peptide bond. Formation of peptide bond. A translational unit in mRNA is the sequence of RNA that is flanked by the start codon and stop codon and code for polypeptide. The UTR are present at the both 5' and 3'. The UTR are present at the both 5' and 3'. At the end, a release factors bind to stop codon, terminating translation and releasing the complete polypeptides for the ribosome. At the end, a release factors bind to stop codon, terminating translation and releasing the complete polypeptide from the ribosome. In prokaryotes controls the rate of transcriptional transcriptional initiation is prominent site for control of gene expression. The activity of RNA polymerase at the given promoter is the turn regulated by interaction with accessory protein which affect its ability to recognize start sites. The Z gene code for beta galactosidase, which is primarily responsible for hydrolysis of lactose. It is primarily responsible for hydrolysis of lactose. Human Genomes Project was launched in 1990. The human genome contains 3,000 sorry 3164.7. The human genome contains 3164.7 of human genomes codes for protein. Sorry. The human genomes contain 3164.7 million nucleotide base. Less than 2% of human genomes codes for protein. Atypical nucleosomes contain 200 base pairs of DNA. 200 base pairs of DNA. Transcriptionally active chromatin is called euchromatin. Euchromatin. The biochemical natures for transforming as principle of Gript experiment was determined by Avery, MacLeod and Mascati. The unequivalent proof that DNA is the specific material come from the experiment of Alfred Harsey and Martha Chase. The first genetic material is RNA. The first genetic material is RNA. The DNA in chromosomes also replicates semi-conservatively was proved by Taylor. Taylor through his experiment performed on the Vicia fava using radioactive thymidine. In E. coli, the average rate of polymerization during DNA replication is approximately 2000 base pair per second. In E. coli, the average rate of polymerization of during DNA replication is approximately 2000 base pair per second. In a transcription unit, the transcription unit, the promoter is said to be located toward 5' in upstream of the structural gene. In transcriptional unit, the promoter is said to be located toward 5' in. During DNA replication, leading strand is synthesized continuously while lagging strand is synthesized discontinuously. A piece of DNA, if needed to propagate during recombinant DNA producer, required a vector because it provides origin of replication. A piece of DNA, if needed to be propagated during recombinant DNA producer, producer required a vector because it provides origins of replication. True or false? No complementary exit between nucleotides and amino acid. Nucleotides and amino acid. True. The code is nearly universal. The code is nearly universal. The codon is termed mRNA in contiguous fashion. True. There is a one tRNA for stop codon. There is a one tRNA. False statement. Formation of peptide bond required energy. Formation of peptide bond required energy. Required energy. Yes. True statement. First phase of translation in charging of tRNA or amino acetylation of tRNA. First phase of translation is charging of tRNA. tRNA. True I statement. For initiation, the ribosome binds to the mRNA at the start codon that is recognized only by initiators to tRNA. tRNA. True statement. The development of differentiation of embryo into adult organism is also result in the coordinated regulation and expression for the survival sets of genes. the development of differentiations of the embryo into adult organism, and also result of coordinated regulation of expression for survival set of gene. True. In lac apron, the three structural genes are regulated by common promoter and regulator gene. In lac apron, three structural genes are regulated by common promoter and regulator gene. True. The genes present in lacs, the genes present in the operons are needed together to function in some or related metabolic pathway. Metabolic pathway. A very low concentration of lac apron has to be present in the cell all the time. A very low level of expression of lac apron has to be present in the cell all the time. The receptors of the lac apron is synthesis in all the time. The receptors of the lac apron is synthesis all the time. Lac apron is under control of positive regulation as well. Lac apron is under control positive regulation as well. Total numbers of gene is human genome is approximately 30,000. The split gene arrangement represent probably in a modern features of the gene. Modern features, nahi false statement है. The the process of entrance in remission antiquity. The process of splicing represent the dominance of RNA world. Dominance of RNA world. The process of transcription and translation can be coupled in bacteria. True. In DNA replication, deoxyribonucleic acid phosphate serves dual purpose as substrate and energy source. First genetic material is RNA. Less than 2% of human genomes code for protein. Less than 2% of human genomes codes for protein. Chromosome 1 has most gene, 2968, and Y has the fewest, 231. A piece of DNA, if needed to be propagated during recombinant DNA producers, required a vector because it provides origin of replication. It provides origin of replication. The first genetic material was RNA. RNA. E. coli. In E. coli, the average rate of polymerization during a DNA replication is approximately 2000 base pair. 2000 base pair. Ribosomes also act as catalyst for the formation of peptide bond. Translation referred to process of polymerization of amino acid to form a polypeptide. HGP was closely associated with a rare development of new area in biology called bioinformatics. तो पहले 1 घंटा में हमने जेनेटिक का मॉलिकुलर बेसिस ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस का टोटल 89 एनसीईआरटी बेस्ड इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट का भी रिवीजन किया हूँ। उसके बाद फिर मैं 5 मिनट का ब्रेक ले रहा हूँ, फिर मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट सेशन में। Human health and disease. In early times, Hippocrates and Indian Ayurveda system asserted that state of body and mind are balanced by humors. In early times, Hippocrates and Indian Ayurveda systems the state of body and mind are balanced by humors. Good humorous hypothesis was given by Hippocrates and Ayurveda. Good humorous hypothesis was Good humorous hypothesis was given by Hippocrates and Ayurveda. Good humorous hypothesis was discarded by William Harvey. Health is affected by genetic disorder, infection, and lifestyle. Health is affected by genetic disorder, infection, and lifestyle. Health is mentioned by balanced diet, personal hygiene, and regular exercise. Balanced diet, personal hygiene, and regular exercise. Health brings productivity, economics, prosperity, longevity, and pupils of decrease mortality of mothers and infant. Adversely affected organs categorized by sign and symptom is disease. Disease which are transmitted from one person to another is known as infectious disease. Disease which are transmitted from one person to another is known as infectious disease. Major cause of death among non-infectious disease is cancer. Major causes of death among non-infectious disease is cancer. Disease causing agents are known as pathogens. Disease causing agents are known as pathogens due to interference of pathogens in normal vital activities result morphological and functional damage of cell. Morphological and functional damage of cell. For survival of pathogens with the environment of host, pathogens have to adapt adapt to life within the environment of the host. Transmission of Salmonella typhi through transmission of Salmonella typhi is transmission of Salmonella typhi through contaminated food and water. Symptoms like substandard high fever 39 to 40 Celsius, weakness and stomach pain, constipation and headache, loss of appetite are the related with typhoid. Death may occur in some case of typhoid due to intestinal perforation. Confirmatory test of typhoid is vital. Confirmatory test for typhoid is vital. Carrier of typhoid who spread disease for several years was Mary Malone. Mary Malone. Early times, Hippocrates and Indian Ayurveda system assert that the state of body and mind are balanced by humors. Good humor's hypothesis was given by Hippocrates and Ayurveda. Good humor hypothesis was discarded by William Harvey. Health is affected by genetic disorder, infection, and lifestyle. Health is affected by genetic disorder, infection, and lifestyle. Health is mentioned by balanced diet, personal hygiene, and regular exercise. Health is affected by balanced diet, personal hygiene, and regular exercise. Health brings productivity, economic prosperity, longevity of pupils, and decreased mortality of mother's infant. Mortality of mother infant. Adversely affected organ categorized by sign and symptom. Adversely affected organs categorized by sign and symptom disease. Disease which are transmitted from one person to another is known as infectious disease. Infectious disease. Major causes of death among the infectious disease cancer. Major causes of death among the infectious non-infectious disease cancer. Disease causing agent is known as pathogens. Disease causing agent is known as pathogens. Due to interference, due to interference of pathogen in normal cavities vital activity result morphological and damage of cell. For survival of pathogen within the environment of the host, pathogens have to adapt to life within the environment of the host. Transmission of Salmonella typhi through and water. Transmission of Salmonella typhus through the contaminated food and water. Symptoms like sustained high fever 39 to 40 Celsius, weakness, stomach pain, constipation and headache, loss of appetite and related with typhoid. Death may occur in severe cases of typhoid due to intestinal perforation. Confirmatory test of typhoid is vital. Carriers of typhoid horse speed disease for survival year was Mary Mellon. Bacteria responsible for pneumonia is Streptococcus pneumoniae. Site of infection in pneumonia, alveoli of lungs. Symptoms like fever, chills, cough, headache, and serves case turning of color of nail from grey to bluish occur in pneumonia. Malaria is a protozoan disease. Malaria is a protozoan disease. The most serious type of malaria, malignant malaria, which can even be fatal is caused by Plasmodium falciparum. Infectious form of Plasmodium for humans is Sporozoites. Transmitting agent for Plasmodium species is female Anopheles mosquito. Toxin in malaria which result in chill and high fever in humans is hemojoin. Common roundworm which show symptoms like internal bleeding, muscular pain, fever, anemia, and blockage of intestinal passage. Excretions. Protein which are produced by B lymphocytes in response to pathogen are antibodies. Antibodies. When the immune system of host are exposed to antigen and produce antibodies, that is called active immunity. Active immunity. Yellowish fluid which contain IgA antibody and protect instant and initial day clostridium. Principle of vaccination or immunization is based on the memory. Biodiversity and conservation. Biodiversity and conservation. The term biodiversity was popularized by Edward Wilson. The term biodiversity was popularized by Edward Wilson. Biodiversity is the combined diversity at all levels of biological organisms. What are those levels? Biodiversity are the combined diversity at all the levels of organization. What are those levels? Genetic diversity, species diversity, ecological diversity. Genetic diversity, species diversity, ecological diversity. How many species of plants and animals are described according to IUC, IUZ, IUCN in 2004? 1.5 million. The term biodiversity was proposed by the term biodiversity was popularized by Edward Wilson. Edward Wilson. India has only 2.4% of world land area but have 8.1% of global species diversity. India has only 2.4% of world land area. India has only 2.4% of world land area but have 8.1% of global species diversity. The species diversity increases when we move toward the equator. When we move toward the equators. The species diversity increases when we move toward the equators, where it decreases when we move toward the poles. Decreases. According to the Rivet proper hypothesis, if ecosystem is considered as airplane, then what does the rivets on the wings represent? Keystone species. NCRT important data. Bamboo species flower only once in their lifetime, generally after 50 to 100 years. Bamboo species flower only once in their lifetime, generally after 50 to 100 years. Strobilonthus conthenia Villa Cronji flowers once in 12 years. Pollen grains are generally spherical, measuring about 25 to 50 micrometers in diameter. Pollen grains are generally spherical, measuring about 25 to 50 micrometers in diameter. In over 60% of angiosperm, pollen grains are shed at two-cell stage. In over 60% of angiosperms, pollen grains are shed at 2% cell stage. In some cells such as rice and wheat, pollen grains lose viability within 30 minutes of their release, and in some members of Rosaceae, Leguminaceae and Solanaceae, they maintain viability for a month. For a month. If it is possible to store pollen grains of large numbers of species for a year in liquid nitrogen minus 196 degrees Celsius, minus 196 degrees Celsius. Pollination by water is quite rare in flowering plant and limited to about 30 genera. Pollination by water is quite rare in flowering plant and limited in about 30 genera. As the seed mature, its water content is reduced and seeds become relatively dry, 10 to 50% moisture by mass. As the seed matures, its water content is reduced and seed become relatively dry, 10 to 50%. A recent records of 2000 years old viable seeds is of the dates, plum, phoenix, and dactylifera discovered during the archaeological excavation of King Herod's place near the Dead Sea. Agriculture accounts for approximately 33% of India GDP and employs nearly 62% of the population. 62% of the population. Agriculture accounts for approximately 33% of India GDP and employs nearly 62% of the population. During the period 1960 to 2000, wheat production increased from 11 million tons to 75 million tons, while rice production up to from 35 million tons to 89.5 million tons. More than 840 million people in world do not have adequate food to meet their daily food and nutritional requirement. 3 to 10 kg of grains to produce 1 kg of meat by animal farming. More than 20%, more than 25% of human population is suffering from the hunger and malnutrition. More than 25% of human population suffering from hunger and malnutrition. A 250 kg cow produces 200 grams of protein per day. A 250 kg of cow produces grams 200 grams of protein per day. In the same period, 250 grams of microorganisms like Methylophilus Metholotropus can exploitate the produce 25 tons of the protein. Temperature ranges from sub-zero level in polar area and high altitude greater than 50 degrees Celsius in tropical deserts in summer. Deserts in summer. Thermal spring and deep sea. Thermal spring and deep sea hydrothermal vent where average temperatures exceed 100 degrees Celsius. Salt concentration greater than 5 in inland water and 30 to 35 in sea and less than 100 in some hypersaline lagoons. 9% of animal and nearly all plants are cono- cono- conifers. High altitude place 3500 greater than 3500 meters. Rostangs pass near Manali. The annual primary productivity of whole biosphere is approximately 170 billion tons dry weight of organic matter. The annual net primary productivity of whole biospheres is approximately 170 million tons dry weight of organic matter. The productivity of the ocean and only 55 million tons. In the incident solar radiation ISR incident solar radiation less than 50% of its photosynthetically active radiation plant capture only 2 to 10% of per photosynthetically active radiation. Only 10% of energy is transformed to each tropical level from lower tropical level. Only 10% of energy are transformed to each tropical level from the tropical level. Carbon constitutes 49% of dry weight of organism. 71% of carbon is found dissolved in ocean. 71% of carbons found in dissolved in ocean. 4 into 10 to the power 13 kg of carbon is fixed in the biosphere through photosynthesis annually. Researchers like robots Constanza have put an average price tag US dollar 33 trillion a year on these fundamental ecological services, nearly twice the value of the global GNP US dollar 18 trillions. According to the Central Population Control Board, according to the Central Population Control Board, CPCB particulate size 2.5 micrometers or less in diameter 2.5, responsible for causing the greatest harm to human health. Electrostatic precipitators which can remove over 99 particulates matter present in exudate from the thermal power plant. Ramesh Chandra Dagar has created an Haryana Kisan Welfare Club with a current membership of 5,000 farmers. Ramesh Chandra Dagar has created the Haryana Kisan Welfare. Ramesh Chandra Dagar is created the Haryana Kisan Welfare Club with current membership of 5,000 farmers. A strong of nuclear waste should be done is suitably shielded container buried within the rocket about 500 meter. Without greenhouse effect, the average mean temperature of Earth's surface where rather than present average is 18 degrees Celsius. Without greenhouse effect, the average mean temperature of Earth's surface where 80 degrees Celsius rather than present average of 15 degrees Celsius. During the past century, the last temperature of Earth has increased by 0.6 degrees Celsius. During the past century, the last temperature of Earth has increased by 0.6 degrees Celsius. According to the estimate, almost 40% forests have been lost in tropic compared to only 1% in temperature region. According to estimate, almost 40% forests have been lost in tropic compared to only 1% in temperature region. At the beginning of the 20th century, forests covered up about 30% of land in India. Land in India. At the beginning of 20th century, a forest covered about 30% of land in India. By the end of century, it shrank to 21.45. Sorry, it in the century shrank 21.54%. National Forest Policy in 1988. In 1988, National Forest Policy in 1988 of India has recommended forest cover for the plan, and in National Forest Policy 80, sorry in National Forest Policy 1988 of India has recommended 33% and forest cover the plan in 67% of the hills. Aromatic hydrocarbon are the aromatic hydrocarbon are to be contained at 42% of the consummed fuel. Temperature of testis is 2 to 2.5 degrees lower than the normal internal body temperature. Testis 4 to 5 and 2 to 3 centimeter. Ovary 2 to 4 centimeter in length. Fallopian tube 10 to 12 centimeters long. Numbers of testicular lobule in each testis is about 250. Numbers of testicular lobules in each testis is about 250. Numbers of mammary lobes in each breast age 15 to 20. Numbers of sperm ejaculated during the coitus is about 200 to 300 millions, and for normal fertility at least 60% normal shape and 40 at least 40% of must show vigorous motility. Numbers of sperm ejaculated during the coitus of about 200 to 300 millions, and normal fertility at least 60% have normal shape and size. At least 40% of them must show vigorous motility. The first sign of growing fetus may be noticed by listening to the heart sound carefully through the stethoscope. Development of limbs and digits in the fetus by the end of second month of pregnancy. Most of the major organ systems are formed by the end of 12 weeks. Most of the major organ systems are formed by the end of 12 weeks. First movement of the fetus and appearance of hair on the head, fifth month of pregnancy. Body is covered with fine hair. Body is covered with fine hair. Eyelid, separate and eyelashes are formed by the end of about 24 weeks. The average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months. Gestation period. Most of the major organ systems are formed by the end of 12 weeks. At the puberty, the number of primary follicles in each ovary 60,000 to 80,000. The numbers of sperm ejaculated during the coitus is about 200 to 300 millions, and for a normal fertility, at least 60% have normal shape and size, and at least 40% must show vigorous motility. Numbers of testicular lobules in each testis is about 250. Numbers of mammary lobes in each breast 15 to 20. Fallopian tube size 10 to 12 centimeter long. Ovary 2 to 4 centimeter in length. Temperature of testis is 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal internal body temperature. AIDS is reported in 1981, and in the last 25 years or so it's killed more than 25 million persons. AIDS is reported in 1981, and in the last 25 years or so it's killed more than 25 million person. 25 million person. More than a million so Indians suffer from cancer. More than 1 million Indians suffer from cancer. More than a million Indians suffer from cancer. Tobacco has been used by human beings for more than 400 years. Tobacco has been used by human beings for more than 400 years ago. The universe is almost 20 million years old. The universe is almost 20 billion old. Earth was formed about 45 million years back. Earth was formed about 45 million years back. Life appeared. Life appeared 500 million years after the formation of Earth. That is almost 4 billion years back. Almost 4 million years. The first non-cellular form of life could have originated 3 million years back. About 2000 million years ago, about 2000 years, about 2000 million years ago, the first cellular form of life appeared on Earth. The first non-cellular form of life could have been originated 3 billion years back. The first non-cellular form of life could have been originated 3 billion years back. Life appeared 500 million years after the formation of Earth. That is almost 4 billion years back. Earth was formed about 4.5 million years back. Earth was formed about 4.5 million years back. The universe is almost 20 billion years old. The universe is almost 20 million years old. Tobacco has been used by human beings for more than 400 years. AIDS is reported in India. AIDS is reported in 1981. AIDS is reported in 1981 and last 25 years or so it's killed more than 25 million persons. Malt constitutes about 50% of the lymphoid tissue in human body. Malt constitutes about 50% of lymphoid tissue in human body. Human reproduction. The male reproductive system is located in pelvic region. Male reproductive system is located in pelvic region. Scrotum help in maintaining low temperature of testes about 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lesser than body temperature. Its testis is oval in shape. Its testis is oval in shape. Length of its testis 4 to 4 to 5 centimeter in length and 2 to 3 centimeter in width. Its testis has how many lobules? 250. The germ cell undergo mitotic division finally leading to sperm formation. The germ cells undergo mitotic division finally leading to sperm formation. Androgen is secreted by Leydig cell. Which of the correct pathway of sperm? Which of the correct pathway of sperm? Seminiferous tubule reti testis vasa efferentia epididymis. Seminiferous tubule reti testis vasa efferentia epididymis. Gland penis is covered by loose fold of skin is called foreskin. Gland penis is covered by a loose fold of skin is called foreskin. The male accessory gland include a pair of seminal vesicle, prostute, and pair of bulbourethral glands. Secretion of bulbourethral glands also help in lubrication of penis. Primary spermatocyte is diploid. Secondary spermatocyte undergo first mitotic division. False statement ये है. Secondary spermatocyte undergo second mitotic division. Releasing of sperm from seminiferous tubule. Releasing of sperm from seminiferous tubule. Releasing of sperm from seminiferous tubule is known as spermiation. Spermatogenesis process start before birth. False. ये गलत. Puberty due to ability of more GnRH. Spermatogenesis process start at puberty. LH act as a Leydig cell and stimulates synthesis of androgen. Synthesis of androgen. A sperm head contains an elongated haploid nucleus. Acrosomal enzyme help in fertilization of ovum. Secretions of which parts are essential for maturation and motility of sperm? Epididymis and seminal vesicle, prostate gland. Function of male sex, accessory duct and gland are mentioned by androgen. Mention androgen. Each ovary is about 5 to 8 centimeter in length in human. False. 5 to 8 नहीं हो, गलत है ये statement. 10 to 12 centimeter long. Yes. Which help in collection of ovum after ovulation. Femorrhoid. The shape of the uterus is like an apple. False statement. How many layers are present in uterus? How many layers are present in uterus? 3. Correct sequence of uterine wall outer to inner. Outer to inner. Perimetrium, myometrium, endometrium. Perimetrium, myometrium and endometrium. Perimetrium, myometrium, endometrium. The endometrium undergoes cyclic changes during the menstrual cycle. L. Myometrium exhibits strong constriction during delivery of the baby. Clitoris is a teeny finger-like structure which lies the upper junction of the two labia minora above the urethral opening. A glandular tissue of each breast is divided into 15 to 20 mammary lobes. The cells of alveoli secretes milk. The alveoli open into mammary tubule. Survival mammary ducts join to form a wider mammary ampulla which connect to lactiferous duct, which milk is sucked out. The primary organs in testes in males and ovaries in females. The correct sequence of spermatogenesis: spermatogonia, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, and spermatid spermatozoa. Spermatogonia multiply by mitotic division. Primary spermatocyte undergo meiosis. Secondary spermatocyte undergo second meiotic division. Spermatids transformed into sperm by process of spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis. The sperm head contain an elongated diploid nucleus. The sperm contain elongated diploid. नहीं, false statement है ये. The human male ejaculate about 200 to 300 million sperm during coitus, of which normal fertility at least 60% sperm and have most normal shape and size, and at least 40% of the thermal must show vigorous motility. Vigorous motility. The function of male sex accessory duct gland are maintained by the testicular hormone androgen. The correct sequence of follicular development: primary follicle, secondary follicle, उसके बाद tertiary follicle and Graafian follicle. Mature. Graafian follicles also known as mature tertiary. Graafian follicles rupture to release secondary oocytes from the ovary by the process called ovulation. In human female, the menstruation is repeated and at an average interval of about 28 to 29 days. How many ovum is released during the middle of each menstrual cycle? How many ovum released during the middle of each menstrual cycle? 1. Menstrual phase is completed about 3 to 5. Menstrual phase is completed about 3 to 5. The menstrual flow results due to breakdown of endometrial lining. During follicular phase change in ovary and the uterus, the inclined changes of in the level of pituitary and the ovarian hormones. Both LH and FSH attain peak level about mid-cycle of menstrual cycle. Mid-cycles of menstrual cycle. Which hormones is mainly responsible for ovulation? LH. Which hormone is mainly responsible for ovulation? LH. Both LH and FS attain peak level about mid-cycle of menstrual cycle. Menstrual phase is completed about 3 to 5 days. 3 to 5 days. How many ovum released during the middle of the menstrual cycle? 1. In human, female menstruation repeated in average interval time 28 to 29. First menstruation begins at the puberty and is called menarche. तो फाइनली फिर से लाइट आ गया है, तो फिर से क्लास शुरू कर रहे हैं। नहीं लाइट आया तो स्टार्ट करते हैं। की समस्या यह है कि गांव में लाइट बार बार कटता है, तो बड़ी समस्या रहता है। फिर भी लाइट आज ठीक है, 2 मिनट के अंदर ही आ गई, तो चलिए फिर से स्टार्ट करते हैं।